Sometimes a joke is so savage, it must be seen to be believed. I give you South Park's take on Kristi Noem.
And I'm gonna recommend you for the next...
After a 1-week hiatus, South Park is back with another banger. Like I expected, that first episode really got under some people's skin. They tried to play it off by claiming the jokes weren't funny, which when translated into plain English means they were devastating. These people were clutching them pearls so hard they could have made diamonds, and that's not even where diamonds come from. But that wasn't the only approved NPC update. They also bitched and moaned about South Park not making fun of Joe Biden because nothing says you weren't owned like trying to change the subject. Some of them have it in their heads that in order to tell jokes about the right, South Park must tell jokes about the left, a new rule they randomly made up, which Jay Leno parroted, and I guess they just memory hold the last 10 years where the show poked fun at the far left nearly every episode and barely mentioned anything about the right. But see, those jokes were funny because they were making fun of trans people and gay people and women and minorities, not the right's dear leader and Epstein's best friend, Donald Trump. Interesting how that works. Well, if they hope for a respite in the second episode, that was wasted effort because South Park ruthlessly takes down right-wing debate bros, ICE, JD Vance, and self-professed puppy killer Kristi Noem. The episode, Got a Nut, starts with Kyle and Wendy being outraged over some nonsense you'd think Cartman did, but no, it's actually Clyde. Clyde basically stole Cartman's bigoted shtick, blasted it on a podcast where he owns the libs by saying the most divisive things he can think of to get loads of views, all to make his nut. And Cartman is pissed because this is his thing. And just in case anyone thinks Clyde isn't stealing Cartman's act,
and also be sure to hashtag respect Clyde's authority.
This is a brutal takedown of the debate bro culture on the right. People like Steven Crowder and Charlie Kirk who go to college campuses to argue with unprepared students to make it look like they're winning the argument. The show goes into this with both Clyde and Cartman, who winds up looking like Charlie Kirk. Cartman even admits that he can edit the videos to cut out when he loses the argument, so it always looks like he won. BreadTubers make hour-long video essays trying to clap back at debate bros. South Park managed to destroy them in 20 seconds. How? By making the debate bros look like clowns. They're master debaters, or rather, master debating, as they say in the show, but the debate bros have no arguments. They're just getting off, or getting a nut. They're either there just for clicks and clout to make money, like Clyde, or just to be an asshole, like Cartman. This is why guys like Kirk, Crowder, and even Ben Shapiro never fare well when they go up against someone who's prepared. This happened to Charlie Kirk recently, where he got scourged by English college students who were ready for him. Now, that doesn't matter to the debate bros or their groupies. Upsetting the other side is the sole goal, and they are handsomely rewarded for it. In the show, this plays out with the Charlie Kirk Award for Young Master Debaters. Cartman, who started his own show, fully expects to win, but the award goes to Clyde, who wins a trip to Mar-a-Lago, and Cartman is once again pissed. That trip eventually ties it to the main plot, so let's go back to the beginning to get everyone else. After Kyle and Wendy complain about Clyde's show, Clyde gets called into Mr. Mackey's office so Mackey can find out why Clyde is being a douche. Clyde explains he's just trying to get his nut, but before Mackey can find out more, PC principal comes in and fires Mackey. See, the school is cutting costs, so they can't afford a school counselor anymore, and when Mackey protests, saying the counselors are important, PC principal waves around the Bible, claiming it's the only counselor anyone needs. So now, Mackey needs a job, especially since he spends $8,000 a month, but nobody wants to hire a counselor, so his financial advisor suggests working for ICE because they offer a 6-figure salary and will hire anyone. And I do mean anyone. There's this ICE recruitment video where they're welcoming the most unqualified people to join the organization. They don't care if you're crazy or fat and lazy.
If you need a job, it's a job to have.
So if anyone was confused about whether Parker and Stone support ICE, there's your answer. Mackey gets hired instantly. No background check, no physical. He goes in to watch an orientation video starring the Director of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, where she brags about hunting down illegal immigrants, all while killing every puppy she sees. And the whole episode is like this. In every scene she's in, she shoots a dog. Every scene. And the whole time, her face is melting because of all the plastic surgery. So she has this team that comes in and fixes her face. At one point, her face falls off and scatters around like a little critter. So, to no one's surprise, puppy killer Kristi Noem was not happy. In fact, she tried to damsel, claiming that South Park attacks women over their looks, which is rich coming from a woman who works for a man and is part of a political party who constantly insults women over their looks. And I don't recall John Wick's next target complaining about anything directed at Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, or AOC. But I do love how she's pissed about them making fun of her fucked up face, but not her killing puppies. I mean, during the end credits, they have her go into a pet store and shoot all the dogs. Every one of the dogs. This goes on until the credits finish. Not a peep. She's fine with that, but don't say anything about her face. Anyway, Mackie gets sent on his first ice raid to a Dora the Explorer stage play. The puppy killer says it might be full of illegals, so they go in and arrest all the Hispanic people, including Dora. And of course, Kristi shoots a service dog. I told you, every single scene. Now Mackie, apparently unlike real ICE agents, has a conscience, so he apologizes to the people he detains, claiming that he's just trying to get his nut. I imagine there are probably some people working for ICE like this who are just doing their jobs, but that really doesn't make the situation any better. In fact, it kind of sounds like just following orders, and those of us with functioning brains know where that goes, which is to a concentration camp down in Florida. So then a reporter interviews a man who I think is supposed to be a caricature of an actual person, but I don't recognize it. He says that these are hard-working Christian people who care for their families, and he has no doubt that there are many Latinos in heaven. Oh yeah, they go there. Literally, ICE goes to heaven and rounds people up. Or, as Kristi Noem says,
remember, only detain the brown ones. If it's brown, it goes down.
So no questions about her motivations. And of course, she shoots the dog in heaven. But my favorite part of the scene is when Mackie asks how the brown people got into heaven, and one of the guys goes, I was really nice to people and helped various charities. That's a play on how petty these arrests actually are. They have nothing to do with protecting the border, or citizens, or stopping criminals from coming into the country. It's just to be cruel to people the right doesn't like. Ironically, some of the people who voted for this, or just supported it because they're not citizens, have found themselves on the receiving end of this policy, most recently affecting the owner of Trump Burger, who now finds himself detained and facing deportation because he overstayed his welcome. Karma is spelled B-I-T-C-H, and she's on her period, and it is a heavy flow. Now, all of Mackie's hard work culminates in Epstein's best friend inviting Mackie to Mar-a-Lago, which is fashioned to look more like Fantasy Island. There, Mackie meets Trump and J.D. Vance, who look like Mr. Rourke and Tattoo from the show. The moment I saw this, I knew exactly where this would go. Epstein's best friend offers Mackie the Homeland Security job because Noem's face freaks him out, and then the Pinche Chilito takes Mackie to get his nut. Literally. Okay, so when this episode came out, Noem freaked out. Charlie Kirk changed his Twitter picture to Cartman as him, which is massively lame, but that has nothing on how J.D. Vance responded. He tried to play along, claiming that he finally made it, and I'm like, bruh, this ain't nothing to brag about.
Would you like me to apply the baby oil to Satan's asshole, boss?
I mean, these people have no sense of self-awareness. Zero. There is no coming back from that, son. South Park is clowning them in ways they never anticipated because Parker and Stone legitimately don't give a fuck. And that is kryptonite to these clowns. They don't know what to do when someone's willing to go as low as them and can actually hit their mark. And it is fucking hilarious. And in case anyone was wondering, oh yeah, they do take some shots at Epstein's best friend and him hiring a 17-year-old to work as a spa assistant at Mar-a-Lago, who he claims Epstein later stole from him, which is why they stopped being friends. Just a totally normal thing that someone who isn't a sex pest would absolutely say. So Mackie flees the weird sex scene with Trump and Vance and winds up finding rooms of old men getting massages from women of an uncertain age, one of whom is Dora the Explorer. This show pulls no punches, and even though it's a masterful joke, there is genuine concern about what ICE is doing to the kids they detain, because there have been credible reports of torture and sexual assault against adults detained by ICE, and there's no reason to assume the same isn't happening to the kids. The episode wraps up with Mackie bumping into Clyde, who isn't happy even though he got his nut because he's saying things he doesn't actually believe. Mackie convinces Clyde to leave, but he wonders who could help them get off the island. Well, in comes Crypto the Superdog, who immediately gets shot by Kristi Noem. I told you, every time. She then confronts Trump about replacing her, but her face slides off again and scatters away, and ICE agents chase it down. That gives Mackie, Clyde, and Dora the chance to flee, and the episode ends with this Charlie Brown-like sing-along, and then Noem shooting all the dogs in a pet store. This episode was vicious, and I imagine it'll piss off people just like the first one. They'll go back to the whole "it's not funny" routine, and then whine about how come the show doesn't call out the other side. And the irony of that is not lost on me. These people claim they love harsh, biting comedy and critiques, but the moment someone tells jokes at their expense or makes the mildest critique of their dear leader, let alone give him a funny name, well, that's just a bridge too far. Basically, they're admitting they can't take criticism or a joke, to no one's surprise. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.